Hi guys, Nighthelm here. Most people either call me Knight or Joe, but either way this is my first proper YouTube video and I'm going to be talking about something that I feel is quite prominent in the WoW community at the moment, and I think a lot of people may be struggling with or need help with. Over the past 2 months I've been streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/NighthelmVG, and what I've found from doing a lot of keys with viewers and other people that come to the stream is that a lot of the WoW community is frustrated because they can't actually get into Mythic Plus groups because of their score, basically, their Mythic Plus Raider.io score. Now, for those that don't know what Raider.io is, it's basically a website and a add-on that lets you kind of keep track of your Mythic Plus score, and this is basically accumulated by doing higher keys. So for example, doing the +10 key generally gets you about 100 score. While it's good being able to keep track of your score, it also actually brings some toxicity to the community, because that's solely what people base people on, is by their score. If you're looking for people in a dungeon, in the dungeon finder, you're obviously going to take someone with a higher score, and the community's kind of set this cap at 1k score. That's the kind of aim that you need to get to. With the Mythic Plus score though, it doesn't necessarily tell you how good that player is. I have found a lot of good players come to my stream that can't get into groups just because of their score. I'm guilty of judging people by their score as well. It's so easy to do, but hopefully in this video I can kind of give some tips and some tricks to maybe push your score a little bit higher to try and get that 1k cap, because I think that Raider.io is going to be very prominent in the WoW community and for Mythic Plus for a long time now, as long as Mythic Plus stays a thing. Now, just as a disclaimer, I am not the best WoW player ever, but I do have a score above 1k on my main. It's 1.159, I think, and I think that shows that me as an average player, if I can do it, then I know that a lot of people out there that are better than me, and I know that they can do it as well, but they might just need that little extra help, and hopefully that's what this video is going to be. My first tip is going to be the best player that you can be. It might sound quite cheesy, but what I mean by this is, are you using the right talents? Are you using the right stats? Are you interrupting when you need to? Are you stunning where you need to? Are you being prepared for dungeon by having flasks, pots, food buffs? All these things can really help out when you're trying to push your score. Not only boosting your damage, but it also looks good on you as a player, being prepared and knowing what you're doing. We have an example with this. I know a lot of shamans that have never touched their tremor totem in their life, and it is a relief when you get into a dungeon and a shaman actually tremors for a fear. I can't tell you how satisfying that is. But there are many sites that can actually help you. One of the main ones that I use, it might not be the best site, but it's got so much information on there, and that's called Icy Veins. Here you are able to find your best stats for your character, the best traits for your character, the best situational talents and traits, and even advice on your rotation if you're really unsure what you need to do. Knowing what is good for your spec, stat-wise, can be a huge DPS or healing output, which will in turn help you pushing keys. Once you have a good understanding of what your character can actually bring to a dungeon, that's when you can start going into lower dungeons and trying and practicing, which is actually going to be my second point. So, practice. If you haven't done even a +4, okay, which is fine, if you haven't done a +4, that's fine. But don't expect or get butthurt when you get declined for a +9. If by some chance you do get into a +9, it's more than likely that it's going to be a rough time for you and the team. You won't know what you're doing, probably, and they're just going to end up getting annoyed, they're going to shout at you, you're going to feel shit, and it's just bad for everyone. So get your practice in a normal Mythic. do the normal mythic, get a lower keystone, start doing those keystones, and gradually build your way up. You're not just going to go straight in at a 10 unless you buy a boost, which is fine if you want to get your loot for the week. But if you are going to, at least see what they're doing in that plus 10. Take tips from them. But the only way you're going to improve at the game is to practice playing your character. Now, while you are doing these lower keys, it is so important to learn the dungeons at this point. This is the best time for you to learn, is when you're practicing your character as well and your spec, because you can learn what's good to interrupt, you can learn what's good to stun, you can learn where to move and when to move there. You can also start to learn little skips you can do in dungeons, say with rogues cloaking or warlock skipping with their portals, or invis potting, anything like that. You can practice in these lower dungeons, and that's going to benefit you hugely when you're going into the top end dungeons. So this is actually leading on to the next point, which is a basic understanding of the dungeons. You cannot expect to be doing plus 10s or even like past plus 7 or 8s if you don't have a basic understanding of what is actually in that dungeon. I don't know if people are aware, but there is this thing called the dungeon journal in game. You know, it's the thing where you check what items each boss drops. Surprisingly enough, it actually has some useful information about the bosses as well. But all joking aside, if you just got one-shotted by an ability and have no idea what it was, check your death log, see the name of the spell, and look at the dungeon journal, and you should be able to understand what it is that killed you and be more prepared next time. You can even go the extra mile to check before the dungeons if you haven't done them before. The trash is not in the journals, but it is a huge part of the dungeon. And basically this is the learning that you're going to be doing in the lower dungeons. You're going to see what is hurting the groups from the trash, what needs to be interrupted, what can you actually stun that can't be interrupted, and just a general consensus of how the trash works. Along with the basic understanding of the dungeons, one of the biggest things you need to learn about dungeons is the affixes. If you don't know what the affixes are, the chances of you actually completing a high-end dungeon are so slim. Some weeks are easier than others, but some weeks you will not survive. I'm actually thinking about doing a video each week kind of explaining which affixes do. But for the meantime, I'll give you this website. It's called mythicpl.us. And basically what this website is it gives you so much information about the affixes. It tells you what affixes are on this week. It gives you some information about the loot that you can get for different keys. And all in all, it's just a good, simple, useful website. My third point is going to be try to play in a consistent group of players. Now, not everybody is lucky enough to have a consistent group of friends or guildies to run dungeons with, which can actually be a bit of a burden, unfortunately, because you're not doing the same routes, you're not doing the same tactics, you're not doing the same skips, and all in all, you don't have the same communication that you have when you play in a consistent group. So what I would say for this is, whilst you're practicing, while you're doing lower dungeons, try and build up a roster of people that you know that you're going to be able to play with, get along with, and are fairly decent. Now what this doesn't mean is don't go into dungeons and just at the end of the dungeon go, do you want to be my friend? No. Just at the end of the dungeon, ask if they want to do another one, do a few dungeons with them, at the end be like, hey, can I add you on Battle.net? You're a decent player, I'd like to do some more with you. Just stuff like that, just to build your roster of people. Don't be that douchebag that after one wipe you just start spurging in the chat, just bullshit. Say someone accidentally pulled a pterodactyl, you then get feared into 20 other mobs and then everyone wipes and it's just a shit time, okay? Just wipe it fast, get back, show him how not to pull it, and carry on with the dungeon. So that's leading on to the fourth point, which is be considerate, be calm, and also help other players be the best player that they can be as well. If someone makes a mistake, do you know what's not going to make the dungeon go faster? Is by you just spamming in chat and hurling abuse at this person that's just made a simple mistake. I see this done all the time. I sometimes make mistakes, and that's fine. You know, we're all human, we make mistakes, but there is time in dungeons to make mistakes. There's been so many runs I've been on where someone dies once, the group wipes on the first boss or something due to a silly mistake, and then a player just leaves when there's still plenty of time left, everyone's doing decent damage, and it's a good group still. So obviously there's a limit to how pissed off you can get. If someone is constantly making the same mistake and you are telling them what to do and how to improve, and they're still not learning, then that's the kind of point where you can be like, nah mate, I'm off, thank you, but see ya. There's no need to be toxic about it. Just say, sorry, I've got other things to do, see you later. There's no need to call him whatever else and under the sun. And this might all seem about a bit soy boy, but fuck it, you know. I think the community needs to be less toxic to help it improve. Voice comms is so important because it closes those marginal gaps of room for error. Because you can say to someone, can you interrupt this? Can you CC this? Can you use your stun now? Do you have a cooldown for me right now so I don't die? It's so important. Even if you can't or don't want to speak on voice comms, at least get people in and listen. If you're making a dungeon, then you're probably going to need to talk, but if you've just joined one, they ask you to join comms, join the comms and just listen to what they say. Obviously, if you do want to speak, it's always good to put your own input in, because you might know something that they don't. And it's always good to call for your interrupts. It's always good to call your stuns, so that it doesn't become just some clusterfuck, basically, of people interrupting at the wrong time or the wrong things, people stunning the wrong things, or just generally people doing the wrong tactics. Now, if you don't have a Discord server or a TeamSpeak server, that's fine. I'll put a description in the link below. That will take you to my Discord server. Feel free to use that. Feel free to invite people, and hopefully this will help with some of your dungeons. So my next point is going to be add-ons. There are a few add-ons that you might want to consider getting just to kind of help you to get through dungeons. The first one is going to be deadly boss mods. So deadly boss mods or bigwigs you can also download. These add-ons will give you a timer to see when the boss is going to do a specific spell. Very, very useful. Imagine having the power of foresight. It gives you a slight advantage in boss fights. The next one is details or SCADA or recount. Any of these add-ons will let you see what damage or healing the group is doing. This will mainly let you see if you're kind of pulling your weight, and from this you can then either see if you're doing the right damage, if you're damaging the right things, and hopefully you'll be able to improve your damage from, or healing from, seeing what you are or aren't doing. Now, the next one is going to be weak auras. Weak auras is a little bit more complicated than the other add-ons, but weak auras is basically a site where people upload different tools to help you in your game. This can range from different UI tools to see what spells you have active or are available, or you can use it for things to warn you about incoming mechanics. And there's also other ones that actually let you see who has their interrupt up in the dungeon. So for dungeons like Shrine of Storms, this one can be so good, where on the last boss it's mainly based around interrupting in the kind of transition phase. Now, my last tip is going to be this: if you are struggling to get into groups, then make your own group. It might be scary making your own group, but when you're in your own group, you can then invite the people you want you are actually in the group already. You don't need to worry about your score really. So just have that confidence to make your own group and go into a dungeon with confidence, like you know what you're doing. Even if you don't, just pretend, and slowly but surely you'll start to gain that confidence. Along with making your own group, you can then invite them to the Discord. You can then do the tactic that you want to do, hopefully, and in general this might actually be easier for you as a whole to make your own group, and you might get more dungeons done this way. There are a few other points that I would like to go into more detail in future videos, such as affixes. I'd actually quite like to do a weekly affix, so a kind of tips for the week for the current affixes. I hope this video and future videos are going to be able to help you obtain a score that you're happy with. We all have different goals in WoW. It might be 800 score, it might be 1000 score, it might even just be 500 score. But either way, I hope that these tips can help you to become a better player, and also to give you that confidence to go into more dungeons. If you want to catch me live, I do stream over at twitch.tv/NighthelmVG. If you want to join the Discord, you'll be able to see where I'm live, and I do a lot of dungeons with viewers. And there's one viewer that came to my stream one day. He hadn't really done much Mythic Plus, but he was a decent player, and I knew that from the first dungeon that we did. But he had a low score, he had low gear, but actually now I gave him a few tips. Every time he was in stream, he was watching the dungeons I was doing, I was giving tips, and he has now actually passed me in Mythic Plus score, and is still continually on that grind for more score. So that's a shout out to Lollipop from the stream. Hopefully, as a first video, this hasn't been too bad. I do want to continue to improve with editing and generally making videos like this as well. So thank you guys again. If you can like, comment, subscribe, that would be great. I do want to start doing more YouTube, so that'll be great for me to kind of see that people actually want to see these videos. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you next time.